In freezing human, please fuck me, and it'll be yours forever, must watch. Distress beacon came from nowhere, cutting through the silence of deep space. Like a knife through flesh, Ryan Mitchell sat in the cockpit of his salvage vessel, the Wandering Star, when the signal pierced his communications array. At first he thought it was another piece of junk, another abandoned satellite begging for attention, but something about this transmission felt different, felt urgent, felt Olivia was 3 weeks into a solo mining run in the outer colonies where most people didn't bother to venture anymore. The pay was good, but the isolation could drive a man mad. Ryan had learned to appreciate the silence, though it gave him time to think, time to remember, time to forget. Signal pulsed again. Stronger. This time help. Please, anyone cold. So cold Diangrian sat up straight. His hands moving across the controls with practiced efficiency, he triangulated the source, a small moon orbiting a gas giant in an uncharted system roughly 4 hours away at maximum burn. Shouldn't go. Every instinct told him that responding to unknown distress calls in deep space was asking for trouble. Pirates used fake beacons to lure in good Samaritans, salvagers found. More corpses than survivors, but something in that voice, something desperate and genuine, made him alter Kurseth. Wandering Star hummed as its engines pushed harder. Ryan checked his weapons locker. 1 plasma rifle, 2 sidearms, and enough ammunition to handle most threats. He hoped it would be enough for hours later. He approached the moon. It was a desolate place, all ice and rock with a thin atmosphere that barely registered on his sensors. Surface temperature, negative 160 degrees Celsius. Nothing could survive down there without serious protection, yet the beacon was transmitting from the surface. Sirian brought his ship into low orbit and activated his scanner sphere, a heat signature, faint but present inside what looked like a crashed vessel. The ship was small, probably a scout or personal transport, half buried in ice and clearly damaged beyond repair. Suited up, checking his thermal regulators. Twice before stepping into the airlock, the descent was rough. The moon's gravity was weak and unpredictable, but he managed to land within 50 meters of the crashed city. Wind howled across the frozen wasteland, carrying ice crystals that pelted his suit like tiny bullets. Ryan activated his helmet light and trudged toward the wreckage. The ship was alien in design, all smooth curves and bioluminescent panels that still flickered weakly with power. He found the airlock, or what remained of it, and pried it open with his crowbar inside. The temperature was only slightly better, negative 100 degrees. The ship's life support was failing. Facello. Ryan called out, his voice echoing through the narrow corridors. Anyone here, please? The voice came from deeper inside the ship, weak and trembling. Please help. Marion followed the sound through twisted metal and shattered conduits until he found Hirsch was huddled in what looked like a sleeping chamber, her body curled into a tight ball, trying to conserve Hetrian. Had seen aliens before the galaxy was full of them, but she was unlike anything in the standard database. Sure. Skin was pale, almost luminescent, with a faint blue tint that reminded him of moonlight. Her hair was long and silver, flowing like liquid metal. Her eyes, when she looked up at him, were large and violet, with vertical pupils like a catch. Was humanoid enough to arms, to legs, a face that was both familiar and alien, but there were differences. Her fingers were longer, tipped with what looked like retractable claws. Her ears were pointed, and her body was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move like living tattooes. Beautiful, Ryan thought before he could stop himself. She wore minimal clothing, just enough to cover the essentials, and she was shaking violently from the cold. Please, she whispered again, her lips tinged blue. Human, please help. Ian Friesengrind didn't hesitate. He stripped off his thermal jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. She gasped at the warmth, pulling it tight against her body. Need to get you to my ship, Ryan said gently. Can you walk? Tried to stand, but her legs buckled. Immediately, Ryan caught her before she hit the ground. She was lighter than he expected. Her body temperature dangerously low. I'll carry you, he said. She nodded weakly, her head resting against his chest as he lifted her. She was freezing. Even through his suit he could feel how cold she was. Trek back to his ship felt like an eternity. The wind picked up, blowing ice and snow into near Whiteout conditions. Ryan kept his head down, focused on putting one foot in front of the other. The woman in his arms barely moved, her breathing shallow and rapid. Finally, they reached the wandering star. Ryan carried her through the airlock and into the main cabin. As soon as the outer door sealed, he cranked the heat up as high as it would go, laid her on his bunk, and grabbed every blanket he had, piling them on top of her. She was still shaking her teeth, chattering so hard he worried she might crack them. Her eyes found his, and there was something desperate in them. Something primal. Please, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Am so cold, human. I need warmth. Ryan grabbed a thermal pack and activated it, placing it against her. Hansis will help, he said. Just give it Timino. She grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Her violet eyes locked onto his. You don't understand my species. We need direct heat skin contact or I, Darian. Froze understanding dawning on him. You need body heat, he said. Slow lies, she nodded, tears forming in her eyes. Please, human. I know it's strange. I know you don't know me, but I'm dying the cold. It's killing me from the inside. My core temperature. If it drops any lower, my organs will shut down. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. She wasn't lying. He could see it in her eyes, the genuine terror, the desperate need to survive. What's your name? He asked. Quiet, Lilira. She whispered. Lyra Vexum. Ryan, he said. An ill help your leaf flooded her face. Thank you, human. Ryan pulled off his suit, careful and methodical, then his shirt. The cabin was warm now, but Lyra needed more than ambient heat. She needed direct contact, climbed onto the bunk beside her, and pulled her against his chest. She gasped at the contact, her cold skin pressing against his warmth. Her body was like ice at first, so cold it almost hurt to touch her, but Ryan held her close, wrapping his arms around her and pulling the blankets over them. Lyra buried her face against his neck, her whole body trembling. Jor, so warm, she whispered, her breath cold against his skin. So warm, human. Just Ryan, he said. Call me Ryan. She repeated like a prayer. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for saving Methy. Lay like that for what felt like hours. Ryan could feel her body slowly warming against his, her shaking gradually subsiding, her breathing becoming deeper and more regular. Tell me about your people, he said softly, trying to distract her from the cold. Lyra was quiet. For a moment, then she spoke. Me people are called the Kirith. We come from a binary star system. Our homeworld orbits close to both suns. We evolved in heat and warmth. Our bodies are designed to absorb and store thermal energy. But here her voice cracked. Here it's so cold, Ryan. Nothing like this exists. Wherein from what happened to your ship, Ryan Ascad prates. She spat the word like a curse. They attacked me 3 days ago, shot out my engines, and left me to drift. I crashed here in the cold. Trailed off her body, pressing closer to his. Ryan could feel something changing. The way she looked at him was different. Now more intensimo, my people, she said quietly. When someone saves your life, when they share their warmth like this, it creates a bond. What kind of bond? Ryan asked, though part of him already knew the answer. A mate bond. Lyra whispered, her violet eyes meeting his. You saved me, Ryan. You gave me your warmth when I was dying among the Kirith. That means I belong to Yorian. Swallowed hard. That sounds like slavery. Lyra, am not asking you, Tano. She interrupted. It's not slavery, it's devotion, it's gratitude. It's love. She touched his face with her slowly warming fingers. Please, Ryan, let me stay with you. Let me be yours. I'll do anything, serve you, protect you, warm your bed. Whatever you need, I'm yours forever, if you'll have. Marion looked at her, this beautiful alien woman, who had literally fallen into his life. I don't want a servant, he said. Carefulathon, what do you want? She a partner, Ryan said. Someone who chooses to be with me, not because they owe me, but because they want. Talira smiled for the first time, and it transformed her Facethan. I choose you, Ryan, she whispered. I choose you because you have a kind heart, because you came when no one else would, because when you look at me I don't see disgust or fear, I see wonders. Leaned in closer, her lips almost touching his. Please, Ryan, she breathed. Let me show you how the Kirith express gratitude. Let me warm you the way you warmed. Marion knew he should say no, should maintain professional distance, should think about the implications, but looking into those violet eyes, feeling her body finally warm against his, all his reservations melted away. He whispered Laia kissed him, and it was like nothing Ryan had ever experienced. Her lips were soft, but there was an intensity to it, a hunger born of gratitude and desire, and something deeper, something that transcended species and culture. Her hands moved over his body, mapping him, exploring him, learning him, and Ryan responded in kind, discovering the planes and curves of her alien form, finding that despite their differences, they fit together. Perfect lithe, Kirith patterns on her skin began to glow softly, pulsing with warmth and light bonding marks. Lyra whispered between kisses, "Nice. They're showing that I've chosen you, that you're mine as much as I'm yours."